Hey, welcome back. This is Micah with ECAP. I want to talk to you now about how to apply for teaching jobs here in Texas. First of all teaching jobs, unless you're at some little teensy-weensy school district, you're going to apply online. So largely, your first step for applying for a job is find their website and go to the application. Go ahead and fill the full application out and submit that. It's that simple. Now, these applications have essay questions. They have your standard who are you, where do you live type questions, but they also have essay questions. Anytime you fill out essay questions for an application, go ahead and save those to a Word document or something, because you're going to come across those same types of questions throughout your experience, and you want to apply at more than one district, so you're going to be filling out lots of applications. In that ilk, and in order to help you, if you live in the North Texas area, we have a consortium application that you can take advantage of. And I think some other school districts or areas in Texas might have this as well, but I'm more familiar with North Texas. So I can tell you that the consortium application is a list of like 50 different school districts where you can apply all in one application. So that's a really cool thing to be able to do, saves you a lot of time and lets you cover a lot of geography in your applications. So the consortium application here is hosted by the Education Service Center, Region 11. The Education Service Centers, there's one in every single region, and these are funded by the state as an assistance to schools, or to schools, programs, and what have you. So the consortium application from Education Service Center Region 11, which is the Fort Worth area and some of the Dallas area, is on a system called Applitrack, Applitra, I think CK. It will be changing to a different format or a different system in September of 23. So depending on when you're watching this, the Applitrack may have changed to a different type of venue. But anyway, go to this and basically you fill out the whole application, you do all your essay questions, and then ultimately you check boxes for the different school districts that you want that application to go to. And when you've done that, you have essentially done the same thing. It's the equivalent of going to each of those schools' websites and applying online. So if you use Applitrack and you check the box, you do not need to go repeat that effort by applying at the school district. So online apps, use the consortium, save your essay answers, and here's a little secret to the online applications. Every time you go in and update your application, it's like moving it back to the top of the stack. These schools have a system where your application becomes inactive after a period of time and people stop seeing it because people apply for jobs and then they don't follow through. So they want those old apps not to be popping up all the time. So if you're going in and you update, I don't know, add your cell phone or update your address or whatever you can update on an application, go and update it regularly, you'll move yourself back to the top of the stack. A lot of people are curious about job fairs. Like, are they really useful? And I'm going to tell you that job fairs are very useful. A job fair is another way to get in front of a principal. Some school districts will send principals, some will just send their human resources personnel. But what they do is at the job fairs, the schools in large want to collect resumes. That's really what they're after. They want a stack of resumes to take back to their principals to look through to cover the jobs that are open. So when you go to a job fair, you need to make sure that your expectation is grounded in what the reality is going to be. You're probably not going to talk to your future boss and get an interview and then be offered a job on your way home. Now, that's happened, but it doesn't happen frequently. What you're going to do, you're going to go in, you're going to introduce yourself. Your HR person there will probably be telling you that they usually say all jobs are open because they frankly don't know what jobs are going to be open during the summer. So they'll take resumes for anything, and you need to go ahead and hand them your resume. The name of the game in this is to somehow get a resume onto the desk of your principal. I mean, that's ultimately the goal. That's why you apply online, is so you can upload your resume and perhaps they'll put that on the desk of the right principal. That's why you go to job fairs. So maybe they'll take your resume and they'll put it on the desk of your future principal. So go to job fairs, take advantage of them, try to make a good impression, dress well for the job fair, please. I have seen some crazy stuff walk into job fairs. Anyway, dress well. There is an off chance that there will be a principal, a person there who needs what you teach, and they like you, and they want to interview you right there on the spot and reserve you. So be prepared to talk, but really what you're going to be doing is handing out resumes. Now, so everything has been focused on getting an application in and getting your resume in. So let's talk about what is a good resume packet. Okay, a good resume packet first is a resume, but it's not a resume that's 500 pages. This is not one of those things where the more things I have done and can list on my resume, the better. Your resume should be one page, and preferably only one side of one page. As a matter of fact, your resume can be a half of one page and still be one of the most effective resumes out there. The thing that needs to be on your resume is, what can I teach? Your resume needs to sort of scream, here's what I'm qualified to teach. So the very first section on a resume should be something like qualification and then your area of certification that you have tested and passed the exams for and you are eligible to teach. So for instance, it would say qualification. For me, it would say English Language Arts and Reading grades 8 through 12, because that's what it used to be. And that would be it. And I would say I have passed the ELAR, English Language Arts and Reading 8 through 12 Texas exam, and any other tests you've passed. Like I've passed the Pedagogy and Professional Responsibilities, or the PPR test. So qualification, past exams, and then you can start listing things like job history and where you graduated, what colleges you went to and what have you. Don't feel the need to over expound on job descriptions and your education history. Really, just the single page. Keep it down to one page. That's the most important thing. There's a reason for that, and that is this. These principals, when they're starting to post their jobs, they have just gotten done with testing for the students. They've just finished their school year. They are tired and they are busy, because really their busiest time is the summer. They're having to hire, if they're in a high school, they're having to hire up to 200 to 250 not openings, but they have 200 to 250 teachers, and they're having to fill all the vacancies that occur in that. And that's a lot of hiring in a couple of months over the summer. They're not scrutinizing resumes. They're looking at resumes saying, is this a good person that I should interview? They put them in a stack, and that's how it works. And you just want to make that stack. The way you make that stack is by telling them, here's what I can teach, and not overstating your case. So the other thing that has to be, you have to have a one-page resume, but the other thing that is very important to put in your resume is the statement of eligibility. If you don't know what that is, we have a video on all the acronyms and phrases that educators like to use in this hiring process, and they'll explain, and it's explained there, so go look it up. But it is the document that tells principals that I'm hireable. It's the evidence behind your resume statement that you're qualified for something. So put your SOE behind your resume in your application packet, and then optionally put transcripts in there. If you did well in college, you've got good grades, and any like licenses that you might hold that are connected to what you want to teach. But really, that's totally optional. The SOE and the resume, a 2-page application packet, that's really all you need. Make sure, this is kind of silly, but make sure that you put your contact information on your resume. I have seen people miss that. And I personally put a picture on there too. So, make sure that they kind of understand who you are, where you live, how to get in touch with you. That's very important. Finally, Once you've done all these things, I've gone to all the job fairs, I've done the online application, I've turned in my resume 2-3 different places, 2-3 different ways. Follow up. This post-COVID environment, I don't know why, but this year I have people who really truly expect that they're going to turn in an online application and then they go home and take a nap. They think, okay, well, the school's going to call me. And that's not how this works. It's just like before when you had to go look for a job. This is a job search. Your program, ECAP, we're sending your name out to principals, and that might get you a phone call. You're going to go to job fairs, that might get you a phone call. You turn in your online application, that's not likely going to get you a phone call. A lot of people do that. That's the easiest thing to do. If you could email the principal, that would be great. Just email the principal. I've applied online at your school. I'd love to teach, math, and here's my specialty. I live in the area. I know your school. I know your kids. I love them. I would love to teach for you. Type of email to the principal, right? He's not going to reply, by the way. He's too busy. Remember how I talked about he's busy hiring people? Well, he's not going to reply to that, but that's great. Go to the next person in the chain of command. Get on that school's website, and if you want to teach English, you need to find out who is the boss of English at that school. It's not the principal. It's either an AP, a department head, or someone like that. You figure out the chain of command. So for me, I emailed the principal, and then I had to email the assistant principal, the lady that was in charge of English and also in charge of the grade levels that I was interested in. And then I ended up having to email the department head, the English teacher, who is just the most experienced, and the principal has decided to put her over the rest of us to help tutor us along, us new people, to help tutor us throughout the year. And she is the one, interestingly enough, that ended up asking me most interview questions. So if you've already met that department head, when you go sit in on an interview, you'll walk into a room, there'll be 3 or 4 people in there. You'll have the principal, the assistant principal, the department head or department heads. And the only one that really knows what you need to know as an English teacher really is the department head in most cases. The principal is going to have questions about your discipline policy, how you handle discipline in the classroom, but the department head's going to want to know that you know your content, and she's going to want to know that you know how to teach, essentially how to do a lesson plan and those kinds of things, because she's the one that's going to fall on if you don't. And by the way, we're going to talk about that interview in another video next. So come back and we'll talk about how to prepare for your first interview, which, by the way, you're going to bomb miserably, but we'll do well on the second one.